Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Chhoda and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time, everybody. I appreciate you all being here. Again, my name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda. Thank you so much for being a viewer. Thank you so much for being a subscriber and joining me on this late evening edition of Ignition Time. There are a lot of important updates in this video. So I appreciate you being here with me. Let's just jump right in. There is a good deal of breaking news, everybody. There's a lot of news I have to share with you. This channel, the Ignition Time channel, is about the country, it's about the economy, and it's about your money. I can tell you that now, as we head into the last few days of the Trump presidency, more and more news is emerging about what happened in this unbelievable Capitol incident, in the Capitol siege, as it were. And national heroes are emerging. Just some pretty incredible news coming out. I have talked about Officer Eugene Goodman in a previous video, and there are some other officers. There are many other officers. I do believe that this, I do believe that this incident is going to go down in the history books. And as we see more and more information emerge, we'll actually realize how close we came, to the edge. But as we get as we head towards the last few days of the Trump presidency, I want to be clear, folks. There's a lot of news emerging about what Trump's defense is going to be. He's actually finding it hard to get people to defend him in his impeachment trial, so he's going to default back to his long time friend, his old friend Rudy Giuliani. So there's a lot of news, everybody. I hope you folks are ready. Again, my name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda. Let's just jump right in to some important news alerts, some breaking news that's just come in regarding what is going on with the final days of Donald Trump's term. Let's just jump right in. This is breaking news from Ignition Time, and welcome to my channel. So, folks, here's what's going on. I can confirm to you that Trump plans on staying in Mar-a-Lago, and he's already getting some pushback from residents of Mar-a-Lago. He's already, a lot of residents in Mar-a-Lago are saying, "Nah, we don't want you here," because apparently there is a document that states that no one can stay in Mar-a-Lago for more than 21 days of the year because it's a private club. It's not a private residence, and this includes Donald Trump. Now, as president, he did stay there for 30 days this past year, and I guess Mar-a-Lago residents didn't have a problem. Not Mar-a-Lago. I guess residents in that area didn't have a problem with it. But now they're like, nah, 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 nah. You can't stay here because this is a private club, because you have a deal with the town that this was converted to from a private residence to a private club. And then apparently I'm hearing from the Trump side that no such document exists. So it's pretty interesting. The state of affairs. Let me show you an article on your screen right now, and this article was recently published, and it says the strange, sad, and uncertain final days in the West Wing and why he might prefer life in Florida. So here's an article that was actually published. Let me take myself out here. Here's an article that was published in the Washington Post. Let's see if I can minimize this a little bit so you folks can see. There it is. Okay. So let me put myself back here. So this says Trump to flee Washington and seek rehabilitation in a MAGA oasis, Florida. So this article says that President Trump will leave Washington this week, politically wounded, silenced on social media, and essentially unwelcome in his lifelong hometown of New York. So pretty interesting pretty interesting sequence of events. Here's some reporting, folks, from Bloomberg, which suggests that Biden plans 10 days of action on 4 overlapping crises, including the pandemic crisis. And here's something interesting. Here's a headline from Bloomberg that says Trump's shambolic empire faces long odds for one more comeback. Now, apparently, what happened was when Trump took office. Apparently, when he took office, he was worth $3 billion, and now he's down 500 million. Now, keep in mind, if you have $3 billion 4 years later, just by the growth of your business, by the compounding value of money, you should have maybe $5 or even $6 billion, because money is supposed to grow. Businesses are supposed to grow. Businesses gain more value over time. Investments grow over time, and we know that the stock market has been going to through some historic highs. But again, according to reporting from Bloomberg, Trump's shambolic empire faces long shots. And he's lost $500 million. Tenants don't want to stay at his locations. I'm pretty sure that the hotel business might suffer, because there are a lot of corporate donors who will want to back out. But you never know. Trump might start a hotel for middle income America. You never know. There's always commercial opportunities with any large business. So. And then the article says, yet as the messy presidency ends, business deals may beckon abroad. So let me tell you what the bottom line is with this article, everybody. The bottom line with this article is that Trump may look overseas at deals overseas in order to be able to grow, in order to be able to grow his empire. So Trump entered office again worth $3 billion, despite soaring stock prices and his own tax cuts. He's going to leave about $500 million poorer, according to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index. Now, his buildings have more than $1 billion in debt. Okay, most of that debt is coming due in the next 3 years. And keep in mind that Citi, one of his banks, said, "Nah, we're not going to give you any more loans." So he's going to have to pay back that money, folks. He's going to have to pay back that money, and refinancing would mean that he would need to find lenders. Now, if he says, "Well, I'm not going to pay you back, I'm just going to refinance," refinancing meaning someone else gives the money to Citi, and then he then owes someone else money. He's going to have to find new companies that are willing to lend to him. As you can see here, let's highlight this. His businesses are saddled with more than $1 billion of debt, most of it coming due in the next 3 years. This is a pretty interesting, everybody. Most of that. Let me just move this so you folks can see it. Let's see. I should be able to move it. Give me a moment. Yeah, this is what happens when you try and do something in real time. There you go. Not too bad. Not too bad. As long as I don't, my goal with these live streams is, as long as I don't make any major mistakes, I'm good. The 80-20 rule. I believe in the 80-20 rule. 80% of something done well is better than doing 100% with precision, because the incremental benefit of the final 20% is not worth the effort and the time it takes to get there. In other words, get something done. I have a lot of individuals who reach out to me asking for advice on creating YouTube videos, and my advice is just go and do it. Don't try and have the perfect script, the perfect title, the perfect thumbnail. And by the way, I'm going to be announcing a program where you can actually start asking me questions. That's going to be announced shortly on our channel. So that will be announced shortly. Now, there will be a fee for it. There'll be a subscription for it, but I will be announcing that shortly, because a lot of people have been asking for it. But let's just jump right into the news here, everybody. Nothing like this has ever happened to him, according to Barbara Ress, who was an executive with Trump. Will he come back? My gut tells me yes, because he always comes back, but he won't come back the same. Pretty interesting, and a lot of interesting challenges ahead, everybody, for Trump, because a lot of banks don't want to work with him, and you know the New York City itself wants to have nothing to do with Trump, and officials plan to end more than $17 million in contracts with Trump's family business, including 2 ice skating rings, a carousel, and a Bronx golf course. The Trump organization said, and I'm going to quote the Trump organization here. Let's actually show you. The city of New York has no legal right to end our contracts, and if they elect to proceed, here, let's show it to you like this. Let me just zoom out a little bit. And if they elect to proceed, they will owe the Trump organization over $30 million. This is nothing more than political discrimination and attempt to infringe on the First Amendment, and we plan to fight vigorously. Interesting arguments from the Trump clan, as it were. But let me know what you think of this, because I can tell you that Trump isn't going to be happy. Also, the Bloomberg article does report that Trump is planning on looking overseas for business deals. Okay, during his presidency, Trump pledged that his businesses would not sign new deals in foreign countries, but it continued to collect income from licensing arrangements in Turkey, the Philippines, and India. Keep in mind, folks, that even if Trump is loses some some name recognition. Now, listen, let me just back up a little bit. In case you're thinking, yo, Trump has a lot of followers, he's not going to lose money. He is. You want to know why? Because the Trump hotels are exclusive elite hotels. You know, I just want to be clear. The Trump business, and for that matter, any major business makes money not when you go and buy a cup of coffee at a Trump hotel, not when you send $5 through a donation or political donation. They make money when you pay $400 a night for the room. They make money when you spend $1,000 at a Trump hotel over dinner and buy a bottle of wine. They make money when you hold a corporate event, and when your invoice for the corporate event is $200,000. If large scale corporate events stop happening at Trump hotels, if people are like, I don't want to do my wedding at Mar-a-Lago, because you do a wedding at Mar-a-Lago, it's going to cost you $200,000, $300,000. If people are like, I don't want to do that, I don't want to stay at the hotel, that's bad. That's bad for any brand, not just the Trump brand. So the question is, the supporters of Trump, are they going to spend at his hotels more so than individuals who are like, nah, I want to have nothing to do with the Trump brand? So that is going to be the factor here, because the Trump brand itself, deals with exclusivity or semi-exclusivity, which costs money. It might make sense for Trump to open up a series of hotels for middle-income America, more like a Best Western type hotels. But you never know. So hey, anything's possible, right? This is America. From a commercial standpoint, that might make more sense. But I just want to be as clear as I can that if elite and exclusive, if elite and exclusive hotel contracts, like these big corporate events, if people say, I'm not going to I'm going to spend $500 a night at a Trump hotel. I'd rather just stay across the street at a I don't know, at the Wynn, at the Hilton, at the Hyatt. That's going to be bad. That's going to be bad for the Trump brand. Okay, but here's the interesting thing, folks. I don't know if you realize this. Overseas, in countries like India, in the Philippines, in Turkey, in Saudi Arabia, they love anything American, including Trump. And so there's plenty of opportunity for Trump to make money overseas. So I just want to be as clear as I can about that, because the name is an international name. So that's some interesting reporting right there from the New York Times with the new. Sorry, that was from Bloomberg, with a new perspective, so our audience can understand. Now, some new reporting from the Washington Post. I'll show you, which suggests. Let me take myself. Hold on. Let me take myself out here. All right. Trump leaves behind a GOP meaning Grand Old Party, Republican Party, both broken and still in his grip. See, the one thing, folks, and I've mentioned this before on my channel, in politics, it's not about what have you done for me, it's what have you done for me lately. Loyalty is non-existent in politics. The moment you lose your utility, you become less valuable. And with under Trump, the Republicans lost the presidency, and in the first 2 years of his presidency, they lost the House. But in the last 2 years, they've lost the Senate and they've lost the presidency. So, from a political utility standpoint, if I want to be as clear as I can, and I said this when all the drama was going on about the signing of that $900 billion package. I said it then, that if Trump does not get the $2,000 stimulus checks, and a lot of people are like, oh, he's a genius for trying to sort of not sign the stimulus deal at the last minute. And I said at that time, if Trump does not get the $2,000 stimulus checks, which did not happen then, and if Trump loses control of the Senate for the Republicans, then Trump's political influence will decline. And now I can tell you definitively that his political influence has declined. Are there going to be supporters? Of course there are. There's always supporters. But if the Senate convicts Trump of impeachment, and by the way, the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, who during the first impeachment said absolutely no and was in close coordination with the White House, if the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell votes to convict Trump in the impeachment trial in the Senate, which is going to happen, then that's going to be an even greater blemish on this legacy, if you want to use the word legacy. So that's what's going on, everybody. So from a legacy standpoint, that is quite interesting. And here's some reporting that I'm pretty sure Trump fans are not going to like, but guess what? I'm here to report the news wherever the news might take us. Don't blame the messenger. Don't freak out at me. The Los Angeles Times reported that in his final days in office, Trump has effectively stopped doing his job, and Mike Pence, has filled the void as acting president. Because basically, what's happened, in fact, I would say that in large part since the election, Trump has been largely fixated on you know what. And also, since the 6th of January, when this horrible incident happened, Pence has stepped up. Pence is the one who actually spoke with Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, spoke with President-elect Biden, and Trump hasn't done that yet. In fact, Trump is gonna, leave on Wednesday morning. Not gonna show up at the inauguration. Not gonna greet Biden, which is yeah, which is interesting when you talk about the peaceful transition of power. By the way, folks, what you're seeing here is on my Twitter feed. So definitely follow me on Twitter, everybody. Our Twitter community is growing very rapidly, folks. So I encourage you to follow me on Twitter, because you'll know in real time what I'm thinking, what I'm doing, what I'm thinking, what I'm doing, what I'm reading. There's been a lot of protests about Republican Madison Cawthorn. I'll let you read that here. And there were some talks. There were some talks about Trump meeting with the My Pillow guy, and about a note that talked about martial law. But apparently the My Pillow guy, spent 5 minutes with Trump. But and also we know that Steve Bannon is spending a lot of time talking with Trump. So hey, these are the kinds of dudes that Trump likes to hang out with. What are you going to do? He likes to do that, and he's going to do it. So anyway, what's President-elect Biden up to? Let's shift gears to President-elect Biden. On the first day, President-elect Biden will sign many, many, many executive orders. Everybody, check this out on your screen. On the first day, Biden is going to sign many executive orders rescinding the travel ban on Muslim countries, rejoining the Paris Climate Accord, extending limits on evictions and student loan payments, and ordering agencies to figure out how to reunite children at the border. Pretty much undoing what Trump has done for a long time. The communications director for a certain Republican congresswoman who walked into Congress, or who was walking around the Capitol with her gun and was proud about it. The communications director quit, and there are a lot of Republicans who still who are, I guess, the new Trump 2.0. So hey, that's the new reality we live in, folks. That's what's going on. This is interesting. A Virginia man was arrested in the downtown DC checkpoint, and by the way, he claimed that this Virginia man, as I was recording this video, I saw some new reporting. Let me check it on my other screen. This Virginia man claimed that it was an honest mistake, and that he was carrying these things as part of his business. This guy had fake inauguration credentials. He had a loaded handgun and more than 500 rounds of ammunition, and he was headed to the inauguration ceremony. Just unbelievable, unbelievable. The We are definitely in no man's land. The relationship between the U.S. and the Mexico is in a bad place. By the way, if you folks want to see all these tweets, and if you want to follow those news stories, follow me on Twitter. Again, you'll know what I'm thinking, what I'm doing in real time. Follow me on Twitter, and you'll be able to see everything I'm reading, and you'll be able to see those articles, because I retweet in real time. I've been retweeting all day today important stuff that I've been reading. Here's another report, and I did mention this earlier in our video. Trump entered office worth $3 billion despite soaring stock prices and his own tax cuts. He will leave about $500 million poorer, according to the Billionaire Bloomberg Index. So the second impeachment will actually make matters worse for him. If you want me to do a detailed video on how the second impeachment can potentially make things worse for Trump, just let me know. I'll do another detailed video on that. This is interesting. Jake Sherman from Punchbowl News. In fact, I'll show you folks this. Let me show you this on your screen. Jake Sherman from Punchbowl News, and let me zoom out a bit so you folks can see this. Okay, said Trump is now powerless because McConnell is seriously considering impeachment. And this is a pretty strong statement from Jake Sherman at from Jake Sherman at Punchbowl News. Great publication. And so Jake Sherman basically said that Hold on, I'm going to show you an important statement. Okay. He said, this is an important comment, okay? Again, I'm quoting Jake Sherman from Punch Bowl News, okay? Jake says the best way to think of it is the transaction that Republicans conducted with Donald Trump for many years was we'll put up with the nonsense because we're getting good policy and judges and good foreign policy out of it. That transaction has run dry. Now, again, folks, I want to emphasize in politics, it's not about what have you done for me, it's what have you done for me lately. The term loyalty does not exist in politics. In fact, I would say it doesn't exist in doesn't exist even many aspects of life, even sometimes with family. But it's a transaction. Politics is a transactional process. Let's get back to the screen here. So Jake says that transaction has run dry. That transaction no longer exists because he's out of office. Right now, they're trying to move on to a new party in many respects. And people like Liz Cheney, by the way, Liz Cheney is a Republican congresswoman from Wyoming, the most powerful Republican congresswoman in the House of Representatives. She's a number 3 most powerful Republican after the House Minority Leader, Kevin McCarthy, who's a Republican from California, and Steve Scalise. So this is a powerful leader. Even though she's facing backlash, she did, she did get well, I wouldn't say she got the backing of Kevin McCarthy, but Kevin McCarthy said he would not be in support of ousting her as a chair of an important Republican committee. But the important thing is, this is how the dam breaks, everyone. I know that some of you are like, no, Trump's power is forever. This is how the dam breaks, everybody. This is how the dam breaks. So we're witnessing the dam breaking in real time. So right now they're trying to move on to a new party in many respects, according to Jake Sherman. And people like Liz Cheney have made the calculus that the new party will be better without Trump. I think there's probably a middle ground here that Kevin McCarthy is striking, which this is pretty bad, but we're not going to impeach him because it's not proper right now. Again, comments from Jake Sherman over at Punch Bowl News. And he said, if there's anybody listening who believes that members of Congress just act out of public policy preferences and what's right and wrong, then they're wrong. Their number one driving goal is to get re-elected. So this is a pretty incredible interview. Actually, hold on, I believe.
A healthy lifestyle should be easy.
Hold on.
Eat veggies, drink green smoothies,
Give me a
exercise
moment.
to get your heart rate up, do yoga to bring your heart rate down.
Just a moment, folks. I'm going to see if I can highlight some of those segments. One moment.
Imagine that I imagine that it'll be in the first couple weeks because there's actually rules that determine when the Senate must pick it up, and it has to be pretty damn close to when the House sends it.
Gotcha.
By the way, folks, over here, Jake's talking about when the Senate trial will begin. This is a pretty fascinating interview, by the way. Jake's talking about when the Senate trial for the conviction of Trump will begin. Let's listen to some segments of this interview, and then, you can find this interview through my Twitter feed, and, we'll get back to other pieces of news as well. But some pretty interesting comments here. So let's get back to it.
And what I find so striking about this period that we're currently in is that we've just spent 4 years of Republicans operating pretty much in lockstep with Trump. There have been brief moments of castigation, of criticism for policy decisions or for some of his rhetoric, but no one in Republican leadership has defected from the president in the way that we're seeing them do now in the final weeks of his term. Do you think that let's say we gave them all truth serum, is that a political calculation, or do you think that they're more just generally enraged by what happened at the Capitol last week?
Both. So that it's the Venn diagram of the two, right? It's the fact that Trump is now powerless. There's nothing left that he could do for them, right? There's the best way to think of it is the transaction that Republicans conducted with Donald Trump for many years was, we'll put up with the nonsense because we're getting good policy and judges and good foreign policy out of it. That transaction has run dry, right? That transaction no longer exists because he's out of office. So right now they're trying to move on to a new party in many respects, and that new party will people like Liz Cheney have made the calculus that that new party will be better without Trump. I think there's probably a middle ground here that Kevin McCarthy is striking, which is this is pretty bad, but we will but we're not going to impeach him because it's not proper right now. But it's a political calculus and a substantive calculus.
Mm-hmm. Now, a few weeks ago, I would have said that the Republican Party is Trump's party, and that they're going to be listening to him and following his lead for the next few years until 2024, when he runs for president again. things have changed radically since then. He lost his Twitter account, which is a big deal for this president. But that said, you can make the opposite argument that Trump remains incredibly powerful in the Republican Party, given only 10 House Republicans voted to impeach him after the events of last week, and he has a strong degree of support from Republican voters still. Given those sort of competing ideas, do you have a sense of what role Trump is going to play in the Republican Party going forward, or is it all still completely up in the air?
Trump is going to be listen, I think he'll play a role in some respect. He's been stripped from Twitter, right? He's been, he doesn't have that megaphone anymore, so he can't really weigh in on the issues of the day. He will only be useful in far right primaries. I mean, that's kind of I don't have a sense that he is somebody who is going to be wanted in a general election context.
That's a big statement.
But listen, if there's somebody like Liz Cheney, who's from a pretty conservative, I'm just using her as an example. I'm not using her specifically, but if somebody like her, who has a very strong Republican district, crosses the president, could the president be helpful in ginning up opposition to him or to her with another candidate? Yes, that is possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, I think what's so fascinating about it is I get the sense that Ted Cruz and candidates like him are probably.
So, folks, you can listen to the rest. You can listen to the rest of that. You'll get the link through my Twitter feed. That's pretty significant. A lot of things are now going to start to unravel as far as things related to Trump are concerned, and that's not the only thing that's going to unravel. I actually have some important additional news, everyone, about what's going on related to the security at the Capitol, and some interesting news about Josh Hawley, everyone's favorite Republican senator from Missouri. We're going to jump into that right now. So, folks, in some news that's not so good for Senator Josh Hawley from Missouri, you'll see this on your screen. Lowe's Hotels says we are horrified and opposed to the events of the Capitol and all who supported and incited those actions. In light of those events and for the safety of our guests, we have informed the host of the February fundraiser that it will no longer be held at Lowe's. This was a fundraiser that Josh Hawley was going to conduct, and he actually his team sent out an email and a notification about that fundraiser before he stood up in Congress and objected to the Electoral College certification. So, that's a setback for Hawley. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear says we're not going to be bullied in the week of last week's riots, and so you have local officials making their opinion known. Speaking of making their opinion known, here's some reporting that suggests that after a vast effort to challenge the eligibility of 360,000 voters in the state of Georgia, what has been reported now is that basically only a few dozen ballots were rejected, undermining the claims of all the claims that have been made by Trump. So pretty strong series of events there, everyone. So this is a pretty by the way, it is a pretty powerful article from Axios. Hopefully you guys read that publication. Super awesome publication. I'm actually going to show you folks the link to this right now. According to Axios, a premeditated lie lit the fire, and on the night of the election, they had what if scenarios on what to do, and basically, okay, this is something interesting. Trump had basically said that he would say, I'm actually trying to find that quote from the article because I did read this earlier today. That there was a strategy from within the campaign, and the words "frankly, we did win this election" became a pretty infamous line of his speech in those crucial moments immediately following the election. In other words, there was a strategy to approach it this way, and that is what sort of started the path and brought us to where we are. Everyone, pretty strong comments. Again, you'll get those links. Oh, now this one's super interesting. I wanted to show you folks this. I'm hopeful there aren't any curse words here, but let me show it to you. I mentioned Eugene Goodman, everybody. You all know Eugene Goodman, right? I have mentioned him in other videos on our channel. And this is another cop, Daniel Hodges. I just want to say, Officer Hodges, I salute you, just like I salute Officer Goodman. And this is what Officer Hodges said. If it wasn't my job, I would do it for free. It was absolutely my pleasure to crush a white nationalist insurrection, and we'll do it as many times as it takes. If you agree with Hodges, if you agree with Officer Hodges, give me an amen in the comment section. Give me an amen in the comment section. Let's listen to a 35-second clip that has been viewed 6 million times. Let's listen together.
That was, we were just fighting it with everything we had to push it back. I got pinned to the doorway. They ripped my mask off, stole my equipment, beat me up, sprayed me with everything. Thankfully, I was able to get out before any permanent damage was done. If it wasn't my job, I would have done that for free. It was absolutely my pleasure to crush a white nationalist insurrection, and I'm glad I was in a position to be able to help. So we'll do it as many times as it takes.
Now, give me an amen if you guys agree with that comment. Folks, Officer Daniel Hodges, Officer Eugene Goodman, all the officers who worked, who put their lives on the line that day, and their stories will emerge. Thank you. And look, there have been reports about, some officers allowing people to get through, but that shouldn't take away from officers like Officer Hodges and Officer Goodman. So I just wanted to highlight this. In fact, I said, salute you, and I retweeted that because pretty unbelievable what's been going on. So, folks, in a nutshell, those are the key events today. Let me know in the comments section if you have any questions or comments for me. But it's like we were born yesterday. I'm going to show you some comments from that guy who was accosted. Keep in mind, again, let me show you this again. This guy, he was stopped with a Glock and 500 rounds of ammo near the Capitol, was a private security guard. He was he said it was an honest mistake. That's what he said, this guy. So pretty sure we got rid of one security threat right there. Hopefully there aren't too many more. There are people who said Trump said to do so. This is what a lot of these protesters, rioters were saying. They said that Trump told them to rush the Capitol. They said that in fact, I actually heard a lawyer say Trump invited my client. So yeah, these are the kinds of defenses, folks, that are being mounted at this current moment in time. And yeah, I'm thinking exactly what you're thinking about these kinds of defenses. So Ben Sass, by the way, Ben Sass, I'm super impressed with individuals like Ben Sass, a Republican senator. I believe he's from Nebraska. He said, we can be the party of Eisenhower or the party of the conspiracist Alex Jones. We can applaud Officer Goodman or side with the mob he outwitted. We cannot do both. Now that's a good one. I wish I could claim credit for that comment, but I can't. That's a strong statement right there. And by the way, folks, the Virginia man who was arrested was running late for work, and he called. Sorry, wrong. Sorry, wrong control. The Virginia man who was arrested at the inauguration checkpoint, okay, said he was working in DC as a security guard and was running late to work and called it an honest mistake. So you're traveling with a Glock, fake credentials, and 500 rounds of ammunition, and I believe that's an honest mistake. I suppose so. I don't know what to tell you. So let's take a look at this right here. And he said, and let me show you this on your screen, it was an honest mistake. In a tear-filled interview, he said he had spent the last week working as a hired security in downtown Washington at the inauguration. He was running late to work and forgot that his firearm was in his truck when he left his home in Virginia, where he said he has a license to carry. He denied he had more than 500 rounds of ammunition. And he said, I pulled up to a checkpoint after getting lost because I'm a country boy. I showed them the inauguration badge that was given to me. Wow. So, folks, this right here is a sequence of events and where we stand right now. I hope you learned something new. I hope you got an idea about where we are as a country right now. But boy, oh boy, folks, we live in unusual times. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope you learned something new. I'm going to try and lighten the mood a little bit and leave you with some important messages. I appreciate you. Like I said, I'm going to leave you with some important messages. So hang in there and listen to these important messages. Please, actually, one more thing before I do that. Follow me on Twitter, everybody. So again, here's my Twitter profile. Like I said, you'll know what I'm reading, what I'm thinking. You'll know what I'm reading and what I'm thinking in real time. So please follow me on Twitter. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. But again, stick around for these important messages and engage with our community. As you can see in the comment section, our community is growing very rapidly. Let's be respectful. Let's just be cool. Let's just chill. Let's support each other, and let's engage in healthy debates. Because now we are entering a new era where we need to leave the past behind and we need to wish the next president and the next administration all the very best so we can succeed together as a country. I have some important messages for you. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. I want you to know that you are greatly appreciated. This right here is a little bit of information about me. You'll learn more about who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me. Definitely check out my video. Keep in mind that this channel, the Ignition Time channel, is about the country, it's about the economy, and it's about your money. Me and my team work hard every single day to try and bring you important news related to the country, the economy, and related to your money. We release videos at 2 p.m. East Coast time most days of the week. That's 2 p.m. East Coast time. If you want to get on our SMS alerts list, simply get your cell phone out, send a text message with the word ignition or with the word time to 70,000. That's 70000, and you'll get added to SMS alerts list moving forward. You can also get added to our email list. Simply go to ignitiontime.com/alerts. That's ignitiontime.com/alerts, and you'll get added to our email list going forward. Now, sometimes YouTube does not always send out notifications on time, so simply bookmark youtube.com/ignitiontime. That's youtube.com/ignitiontime. And then you'll be able to visit the homepage of our channel and you'll be able to check out our videos at any point in time that you want. You can also follow us on our Instagram handle is ignition_time. That's ignition_time. You can also follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is also ignition_time. That's ignition_time. Now, the unique thing about Twitter, in fact, I'll show you my Twitter feed on your screen right now. Our Twitter community is growing very rapidly. The unique thing about Twitter is you'll know what I'm reading. I retweet in real time. So you'll be able to actually get the news from me in real time through Twitter. So make sure you sign up for a Twitter account if you haven't already, and make sure you follow me at ignition_time on Twitter. Now, one of the things I'm especially proud about and I'm really, really happy to see is our growing community. Our community is intelligent, it's bipartisan, it's respectful. So definitely comment below and become a part of our growing community. And when you comment below, you'll make some new friends in our growing community. Speaking of community, all I ask is that you please share this video with just 2 friends or family members, just 2 friends or family members. I would really appreciate that. And as always, you'll get a link to all of our resources in the description section below. If you learn something new, please click like, please subscribe, please enable notifications. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.